chambara la balena lira kunurago lukatina aimuga tarigira kuto himagatunu luni lumarime lukatina aimuga tarigira kuto himagatunu lutaganu numa ay may bubu hanya watu lagulay bubu ubaro ay may bubu hanya watu lagulay bubu ubaro may bubu hanya watu lagulay bubu ubaro so may bubu hara lagu interese ay gunye nao arugaya nao ay gunye nao arugaya nao ay gunye nao arugaya nao la gunye nao abaluru ya Campana carumara cayete y a campana caro sisira yete guiñe ahí tona pana ahí maraca yete guiñe y teño fedu guajurarale ahí tona pana ahí maraca yete guiñe y teño fedu guajurarale ahí guajurarale mama ahí guajurarale nito Itenyo fedo wagurarale ai wagurarale maga ai wagurarale mito Itenyo fedo wagurarale ai wagurarale maga ai wagurarale mito Itenyo fedo wagurarale ai wagurarale maga ai wagurarale mito Itenyo fedo wagurarale ai wagurarale maga ai wagurarale mito Itenyo fedo
Welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. Every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are a syndicated weekly radio show on RadioCentroamerica.com in Los Angeles, LMBRoots.com, and RadioGarifuna.com in New York, and Radio Guiriga 99.9 FM in Santa Fe, Colón, Honduras. Listen on your smartphone by downloading the free application TuneIn.com and look for one of these stations. Welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga.
Sanyanaro tiga puri metura hanya Sanyanaro meti faya asasirae Sanyanaro tiga puri metura yaganara Ao punye gutagu baino Sanyanaro tiga puri metura hanya Sanyanaro meti faya asasirae Sanyanaro tiga puri metura yaganara Ao punye gutagu baino Niana landa nasasira liwawa wora Niana landa nasasira liwawa wora Nurune imena lana menia haya Sanyanaro tika puri metura ya ganara ao unye gda kubaino Sanyanaro meti faya asanserae amedi wale hanya wawa wora amedi wale hanya wawa wora au musiga nui dentone guya ganara ao punye gda kubaino Sayanaro tiga puri metura hanya Sayanaro tiga puri metura hanya Sayanaro tiga puri metura hanya Niña niño, dale judi amari awarda. Muy pasaje, osenwo, niña niño, dale judi amari awarda. Nati vende ketapana, sase buah ketapana. Ari kalamu gana, dote pela chulu. Nati vende ketapana, sase buah ketapana. Ari kalamu gana, dote pela chulu. Rimasagie hoseruo, hinya niño, dale jodi kamarigu awarda. Rimasagie hoseruo, hinya niño, dale jodi kamarigu awarda. Nati vende ketapana, sase buah ketapana. Ari kalamu gana, dote pela chulu. Nati vende ketapana, sase buah ketapana. Nani kelas mana, telau bana hudahu. Vende ketapana, sase buah ketapana. Ari kalamu gana, dote pela chulu. Nani vende ketapana, sase buah ketapana. Nani kelas pana, telau bana hudahu. Nani vende ketapana, sase buah ketapana. Ari kalamu gana, dote pela chulu. bem, que a balinha mata e a rádio, baby. Nite bem, que a balinha mata e a rádio, baby. Vamos ganhar passageiro. Adonai, caçamba tucubae, caçamba cubae. Adonai, caçamba tucubae, caçamba cubae. Adonai, caçamba tucubae, caçamba cubae. Machilo bati branca, habu watu ganyo bom kunyole. Adonai, liru kabaruni, haraka malale. Mila muro, abunuo. Adonai, caçamba tucubae, caçamba cubae. Adonai, caçamba tucubae, caçamba cubae.
Visiting Las Vegas or live in Las Vegas? Black Coral Cafe Belizean Caribbean and American Cuisine Restaurant is just a place you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're open Tuesdays to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sundays from 12 noon to 5 p.m. Closed on Mondays. At Black Coral Cafe Restaurant in Las Vegas, you can enjoy all your Belizean, Caribbean, and American cuisine. We're located at 380 West Sahara Avenue. We also do catering for parties, weddings, and more. Call us at 702-579-5099. That's 702-579-5099. What happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas.
Garifuna American Heritage Foundation United GAFU and the Garifuna Community of Los Angeles present Proclamation Ceremony of the National Garifuna Settlement Education and Awareness Month, celebrating 54 years of Garifuna settlement in USA. Saturday, November 15, 2014, starting at 1 p.m. Come and celebrate 54 years of Garifuna American progress with local, city, and national leaders, cultural presentations, community awards. Venue, Mars Caribbean Gardens Restaurant, 14008 Crenshaw Boulevard in Gardena. For more information, call 323-898-6841 or visit our website at www.garifunaheritagefoundation.org.
This is Jerry Castro, and thank you for tuning in to Radio Centro America and its host, DJ Labuga, Ronnie Figueroa, every Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my show, Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. Good evening to all, New York, Los Angeles, Honduras. Bienvenidos a nuestro show esta noche a través de Radio Centroamérica en Los Angeles, LMB Roots Radio in New York, and Radio Guiriga 99.9 FM in Santa Fe, Honduras. Tonight we have a very special guest from Stone Tree. Is the story of Ivan Duran. Ivan Duran grew up in Benque Viejo del Carmen in Belize in the 1970s and 80s, just across the unpaved lane from the studio. We're talking about Stone Tree Studios. We are only 3 blocks from the community center here, where there used to be dances with bands playing Caribbean music, some Latin and a lot of Belizean styles, usually between lasting until 3 to 4 in the morning, he recalls, Ivan Duran, of course. And every year my parents would drive to Dangriga for the Garifuna Settlement Day on November 19th, a national holiday celebrating the arrival of the Garifuna people to the coast of Belize. It's an all-day party, basically a carnival with drumming in the streets and a parade. Ivan Duran became inspired by the rhythms and percussion of the Garifuna, descendants of Maroons, escaped African slaves who mixed with indigenous Caribs on St. Vincent in the eastern Caribbean coast. After fiercely resisting colonial forces for more than a century, they were rounded up and transported west in 1797 to Roatan Island in the Gulf of Honduras, from where they dispersed right along the Caribbean coast of Central America in small communities from Belize to Nicaragua, all the way down. In school, I realized my love for music was mostly African-based. I didn't have to look anywhere else to go back to the roots. Making the link to Belize was extremely important for me, says Ivan Duran. It all made sense. After some years of playing guitar during the time he went to Cuba to study music at the National Art School, ENA, Escuela Nacional de Artes in Havana, where he boarded with the first, the finest young musicians on the island, of course. I was in Cuba 6 years, and it was an amazing experience. Whatever I learned there, I connected back to Belize. In the end, I got bored of the academic stuff, and I formed my band. Live album mixing a bunch of rhythms, including Garifuna drumming. At the concert, I realized that performing was not for me. I was too nervous. The same week, I went into a professional studio for the first time, and I remember feeling that this is it. I could live inside this place. I became fascinated with the whole process of production of the music, of course. That's when I decided to make recordings and start a label. Ivan Duran would return 2 or 3 times a year to Belize from Cuba. On one trip home at a hotel bar in Belize City, he met Andy Palacio, who was the leading exponent of Punta Rock, an electrifying update of the most immediately danceable of the Garifuna rhythms. Punta Rock was a craze in Belize, starting in the early 80s and became the country's national music. Andy was its biggest star by far. I was just 20. I remember telling him about all of those great musicians that I was at school with while in Cuba. And he said, we should do something one day. And he was like, we should make a record. When do we start? I'll never forget that moment. It was the beginning. Let's see, I think the call is coming in right now. Hello, Mr. Ivan Duran.
Ronnie.
How are you? Welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. I was just giving our audience a preview of the bio that you sent me from that newspaper clipping. Beautiful. And I was actually getting inspired, man, and trying to think of some more questions. But Ivan Duran, we welcome you to one of the hottest shows in the Garifuna community. We broadcast live through Radio Centroamérica right here in Los Angeles for the Western United States, and in New York through LMB Roots Radio, and of course en Honduras a través de Radio Guiriga 99.9 FM in Santa Fe, Colón, Honduras. Welcome to my show, Ivan. How are you?
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a real pleasure. Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you over there?
I am very excited, man. I'm very excited to have such a celebrity like you, Ivan Duran. You have given the country of Belize a name in the musical scene, that is. You have, with the help of talented musicians, put the country of Belize on the map. How do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, I think it's the other way around. It's the musicians, it's the music, and it's that great culture and those torch bearers that have done all the work. I have been there mainly to help. But yeah, of course, it's a great honor to be part of this movement. And you know, it's not the work of one person or one artist. We're talking about, you know, generations of musicians and artists and composers who have ensured that this great music, you know, still survives today. And I'm just really proud to have been able to make a contribution to the process, and along with all the different artists I've worked over the years, and it's I feel very blessed and privileged.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I understand where you're coming from when you say it's a team effort, because it is indeed a team effort. But without the leadership of a talented young man like you, you know, at the age of 20, in your prime, I mean, you at the age of 20, when you meet Andy Palacio and when you get into this movement and this idea of starting a record company and getting into the studio and realizing that you're not too much of a performer, but more of the producer and a person who sits in the studio and is able to catch the talent of these musicians and, of course, put it in a record, you know. And so I think that has a lot to say of the caliber of person that you are. And not only are you very talented, musically speaking, but also a good businessman. I think you have been able to expand your horizons to go to Canada and Europe and establish those links, so that Belizean and Garifuna music as a whole, you know, could reach as far as the Netherlands and countries that we would never imagine, you know. I think the only band that was able to accomplish that was Banda Blanca, under the impression that Punta music was theirs and it was not by Garifuna, of course. And that's a whole different story. But Ivan, welcome to my show. And I want to know where was Ivan Duran born? Were you born in Benque Viejo or in any other part of Belize?
Yeah, almost. Actually, I was born in Mexico, and it was by accident. My parents were in Merida, and I was born there in the south of Mexico. But when I was 2 weeks old, we went to Belize. And, well, my parents took me there, but they were already living in Belize. My parents are originally from Barcelona, Catalonia in Spain, and they were very young when they decided to leave Spain, and they ended up in Belize. They loved the country. Belize in 1972, when they arrived, was still a British colony.
Oh, yes.
And there was this movement that was growing, this movement towards independence, and my parents, you know, they felt that was a place that they loved, and they wanted to you know, raise a family there and be part of this nation building and independence movement that was forming. My parents are artists too, so I come from an artistic background. So to me, it was very easy to get into music. My father is a painter, and my mom is a publisher, and so I often say that I was born in Benque because I was like 2 weeks old when I was there, and that's where I grew up, in Elizabeth Street, which is the same place where my studio is now, and you know, my mom lives across the street, and you know, I'm a Benque boy. Yes, but technically speaking, I was born in Mexico.
Oh man, you're a true Belizean, man. And we all love your style. We love the way you handle yourself in the community, especially among Garifuna. This is a radio show that caters to Garifuna people, but we have a lot of audience who are non-Garifuna, who appreciate the music and the culture just such as you know. So, yeah, that's amazing, man. That gives me a lot of material to go from and to be able to ask you the next question, which you already answered. Your parents are from Barcelona, Spain, which is, of course, a whole different part of the country of Spain. So it's like an independent nation of its own. So I could see your parents.
Well, it has its own culture, right? It has its own culture, and I guess there must be something there that made me, from a very early age, appreciate cultures and appreciate especially minorities that are, like in its own way, oppressed. It's like my grandparents in Barcelona were not allowed to speak Catalonian language, for example. When my parents went to school, they were taught in Spanish as opposed to their indigenous language, which is the Catalan. So I'm sure there's something. I've never made a connection, but I'm sure there's something there that when I growing up, I'm thinking, you know, culture is important for our country, and diversity is even more important. You know, and we have to learn how to respect everybody and every culture. So, I really have to give credit to my parents. Very early on in Belize, I grew up loving everything that surrounded me. And when I decided to study music when I was a teenager, I immediately identified mainly with African music. I fell in love with all kinds of different type of African music, and I thought, well, why am I listening to Fela Kuti all the way from Nigeria or South African music when I have almost this great music right in my backyard, you know? Yes. Just a few miles from where I live here in Belize, there's this great, you know, traditions and drummings and singing and all that. So
beautiful. Yes. And one question, Ivan, are you the only child?
No, I have a sister who is also an artist. She's a dancer. She's a contemporary art dancer, and she lives in Mexico, and she has a fantastic contemporary dance studio there, and you know they're touring all the time and putting great productions in theater and so on. So I have a little sister. I'm the big one.
So indeed, you are artistically inclined because you have a family that supports you for what you do, and of course, they are also talented in their own way. Publishing company, I know Stone Tree had a few books published and everything. Is that still going on, or it's kind of like on the side?
Well, it's not Stone Tree, actually. It's the publishing company is called Kubola Productions.
That's right.
And it was founded by my parents in 1971, and it was the first publishing company in Belize who actually started producing textbooks. For example, they produced the first history of Belize, the Atlas of Belize, all kinds of different books for the schools and other publications. And they were also very involved in the whole independence movement as well, and they produced the entire campaign for independence in terms of the graphic designs and all that. So that company still exists, and they still publish a lot of literature. Most of the literature in Belize is published by Kubola, which is run by my mom these days, and she's still very active.
Wow, that is great news, Ivan. So basically, your family is intertwined with the whole aspect of the birth of a nation, which is Belize, 1981, becoming an independent country from, of course, the mother country, which is England. So that's something to boast about, man. That is very important. It's part of your history. So my next question, Ivan, who has been your most influential musician, or who has inspired you musically besides Fela Kuti and other South African musicians that you have listened to before? Who has been very influential today?
Wow. It's a very, very tough question to answer because there's many influences and at different stages in life. You know, as you grow older, you appreciate different things that when you start that you. But I mean, if this was any show in the world and I get asked this question at this very moment, I would definitely say that Nabi, Paul Nabor,
wow,
is one artist who has made the most impact in my life, and it's way beyond music. As a human being, I am today a better human being because of that gentleman, and when I met him almost 15 years ago, or a little bit more, it changed my life. And to me, music and culture is about that life experience, not just about, you know, listening a song that you like or dancing to it and forgetting the next day. It's about making positive changes and making you appreciate life in a different way. Yes. And Paul Nabor did that to me. And
wow.
So every time I work on a record, I think of persons. And it's not only Nabi. I have a few other friends and people that I respect deeply, that I think of them, and I think, what would this person think about what we're doing right now in the studio? And Nabi is one of them. Nabi is the one person I wouldn't want to disappoint. I wouldn't want Nabi to say IV, because he used to call me IV. He said, IV, I don't like this thing that you did, you know? In the back of my mind, that's always present, you know? It's one of those leaders that point to you, you know, that show you the right direction. And in the studio, definitely, I have to say that Nabor represents something extremely important, not only to me but for the entire culture. That I'm just so proud to have lived that. I really feel privileged to have lived in this day and age and to have met a person like him.
Yes, and thanks to you and the late Andy Palacio that you were able to bring the talented, rest in peace, Paul Nabor to the forefront of the music in Belize, and, you know, bring the music forth, even though the recordings were few. His fame. And
you know what, Tony? I thought this the other day. I was doing an interview with the Belize News, and it struck me. It really struck me, and that without Nabi, most likely none of that would have happened. None of the success of Watina and Andy and taking this story to the world wouldn't have been the same without Nabi. And I've had a really, really tough few years since Andy's passing, and things I forget things. You know, things have gone so fast. You know, from 2007 to now, that I haven't had time to really reflect on a lot of things. But this past week, I've been in deep mourning by myself. I rarely talk to anybody about this, and I've been thinking about Nabi and feeling deeply sad that he has left us, deeply sad that I'm not in Belize right now, that I wasn't able to see him for the last few months. And one of the things that came to mind in that interview was that it wouldn't have been the same without Nabi's blessing. Like, Andy had the courage to take this story to the world and take this music to the world because of Nabi. Yes. And the same thing with me. I wouldn't have had the moral strength to say, you know what, this is what we do, and we're proud of it. And Nabi and the way he was close to us is what made it all happen. And I'm so proud of it, you know, because I always people usually tend to think about, oh, boy, that now a hit, or this and that, and this, yeah, what in yeah, whoa. But they forget that there is a lot more to it, and it goes back to the temple, and it goes back to the deep roots and the great dignity that musicians like Nabor have carried throughout their lives, you know, and this somehow reflects in the music that we put out. Somehow, when you listen to it, people are able to connect at a different level emotionally. Yes. And I think Nabi, man, he's not a spiritual healer for nothing. You know what I mean? I mean, he was a real deal, and it's incredible, man.
Yes. Well, I know you're taking it hard, and I know that it's been a week of activities and getting ready for the concert that took place last Friday. I know when we previously spoke about the death of Paul Nabor, and you were in a situation where you were planning to go with the whole crew and pay your respects to Paul Nabor by traveling to Punta Gorda and putting up this big concert. So how did it go? How was the reception for the public being there?
The concert was amazing. I was in touch with the guys for several days, and also Aurelio was there, which I'm so happy because I was with him in Europe last week. We were performing at Womex in Spain, but he was able to make it, and I just spoke with him yesterday again, and he was like, man, he was so freaking proud, you know, that Nabi got, you know, he got a funeral like a king, you know. He really went off as with the biggest respect ever by his people, by his family, by his community, by his government. I think everybody made a huge effort to see this, and I'm so happy, Ronnie. I'm so happy. I think that's one of the reasons I think making a record is worthwhile. Forget the sales, forget the glamour, forget the tours, forget everything. If we were able to have Nabor in 10 years, having been distinguished and respected by the government of Belize, who he literally got a state funeral, which is usually just offered to politicians, and so it's the first time, you know, it's the first time that and Aurelio was very, very impressed by that. He was so happy, you know, that, you know, we have come a long way, you know, that finally the respect to our artists is given, and of course Andy got the same treatment when he passed in 2008, and now Nabi. It's just great, and again I'm really happy that this came to him even at this later stage in life, you know. But like they say, it's never too late, and I'm sure other artists will feel proud, you know, that he got that respect, and it's respect for everybody. Everybody who's involved in this music should be very, very proud for that.
Yes, no, definitely, man. much respect to the government of Belize for taking the lead and giving this man who had so much to give back to Belize as a nation and to Belizeans, at least give him a state funeral, which it happened, and it was seen by the thousands of pictures that were flowing up and down on the social media. We were able to actually get the pictures instantly as the concert was going on, as the funeral was passing through the streets of Punta Gorda. That's amazing. We were able to see video feed from the people in the streets, videotaping from their cell phones, from their iPads, and to the point that there even was a drone that was being flown on top of the funeral or the parade, and the drone, of course, had a camera and was videotaping the actual funeral. I never seen anything like that, especially in a country in Central America, you know. So that's very, very impressive.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm so proud. Those are the days that you really feel proud to be a Belizean, and I really feel happy that and let me tell you, all this is spontaneous. You know, there was no master plan. There was no. This happened immediately. This happened just to give you an idea how loved Nabi is in Belize. He touched many lives. You know, and this was something that had to be done. Nobody was forced to do it. You know, nobody thought, oh, we're gonna get more votes if we do this, or we have to do this. No, everybody came together and made it happen, and it's so great. I'm sure wherever Nabi is right now, he's really happy with the respect that the country gave him.
Yes. Ivan, I want to move away from the topic from Nabi. I know the man received the most and the highest honor, and I am glad that we let him go the way we did, and a lot of people are still mourning, and of course we love the music that he left behind. We are also giving Paul Nabor a small token as an honor here in Los Angeles coming up November 15th, which is the weekend of the celebration of the Garifuna Settlement Day. The Garifuna Heritage Foundation United, our organization, which is a 501c3, will be giving a citation, City of Los Angeles citation to Paul Nabor's only daughter, Miss Marie Centino, here in Los Angeles. Hopefully she is back from Belize, and so on the 15th of November, whether she is present or not to receive the city citation, we will be giving this certificate, this precious thing from the city of Los Angeles, the community, Garifuna community of Los Angeles, and of course, the mayor of Los Angeles, Mr. Garcetti, promised to be there. So we hope that by doing this, we're also paying our homage, to a man that left so much for the younger generation of Garifuna Americans here, outside of Belize, outside of Honduras, outside of Guatemala and Nicaragua. Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful to hear, man. I'm really, really happy to hear this.
Mm-hmm. Living in Cuba for 6 years while attending Havana's Escuela Nacional de Artes, that must have been a life-changing experience for you, Ivan. How influential was this experience for you as a professional musician today?
No, it was amazing. It was amazing. I went there very young. I was 18. And, of course, a lot of Central Americans know Cuba for, like, the doctors. A lot of doctors go to Cuba to study. But it happened that Cuba used to have one of the best music schools in the entire region. And this one school in particular in Havana, I got the privilege to study guitar. First, I studied classical guitar. Mm-hmm. And later on, I studied jazz a few years, and it was an incredible experience. That's where I formed my first band, and we did a couple concerts, and that's when I actually realized that I didn't like to be playing live. I got really nervous stage, and I really hated the whole experience. And it coincided with a visit to a studio, a local studio there, and I just remember feeling in love with the place, and I thought I could just live inside this place. You know, I don't need to even go out. You know, I could just sleep on the floor, and I don't know what it was, man, but it was incredible. And I thought, you know what, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to work in the studio. I want to produce music. I want to make music inside the studio where I can control things, where I can hit the stop button and redo it again if I don't like it, you know?
Right,
something that I can't do on stage.
But
so that's when it all started to click for me. But it was 5 or 6 years that were very intense, and you know, it was a very tough school. You had to study a lot. It was like, I remember, like, very strict, like, the exams very regular, and I had to play guitar. I forgot almost everything I learned, but I remember when I was there, I used to study a lot. I used to play my guitar at least like 6 to 8 hours every day. You had to study, and if people saw you were just fooling around and not with your guitar in hand, they would think that you were not serious enough. So, a school that has produced some of the most incredible, talented musicians anywhere in the world. As a matter of fact, you know, today, I mean, Cuban musicians are known throughout the world for their excellence and their incredible abilities.
Yes, indeed. Ivan, but I remember that you got on stage in one of the performances you did here in Malibu, in, of course, Los Angeles County. One of the performances along Aurelio Martinez, you jump on stage and you were playing the guitar, or am I...
Oh, yeah, man, yeah. No, I do that a lot, you know. If they let me, I'll jump in. But it's not very regular, and also, it's not a key role. I mean, you can mute my guitar and the music will still sound good. So nobody's depending on me. So if I can throw in a couple notes and add something to the mix, then it's fine. But it's like, I'm just like a little extra. Like in the movie set, you know, those extras that you don't see, and it doesn't matter if you're not there. Well, I'm one of those. At least on the stage. In the studio is a different thing. I'm running things in the studio, but on stage, I'm kind of useless. But sometimes I really have fun, and especially if I get to travel with the band, I'm thinking, you know, well, why should I just be hanging out backstage and doing nothing if I can, you know, just be up there with the guys? But I've done it very rarely.
That's beautiful.
I did it at Carnegie Hall. I said, oh, man, I'm in New York. We were playing Carnegie Hall. Come on, I have to do that.
Yes,
but just in very special moments. But usually, no, I don't play. And now that I have a 2-year-old daughter, for example, I don't like touring anymore, because I want to be at home with my and see them growing up, you know.
Yes.
So I don't get out as much as I used to.
Yes, ma'am. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. We have on the line, straight from Canada, Mr. Ivan Duran, the brains behind Stone Tree Records in Benque Viejo, Belize, in Cayo, Belize, of course. This is DJ Labuga, live and direct from the studios in Long Beach. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to play some commercials and maybe try to squeeze one of the brand new songs from the album Landani from Aurelio Martinez, and it's called Nafagua. But I'm going to ask Ivan Duran to hold on the line and maybe take about a 2-minute, 3-minute break and drink some water. I know he's having a little cough right there. It must be a lot of talking. So, Ivan, take a little break, and we'll be right back after the song and after a few commercial breaks, okay?
Okay, sure.
All right, beautiful.
Visiting Las Vegas or live in Las Vegas? Black Coral Cafe Belize Caribbean and American Cuisine Restaurant is just a place you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're open Tuesdays to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sundays from 12 noon to 5 p.m. Closed on Mondays. At Black Coral Cafe Restaurant in Las Vegas, you can enjoy all your Belizean, Caribbean, and American cuisine. We're located at 380 West Sahara Avenue. We also do catering for parties, weddings, and more. Call us at 702-579-5099. That's 702-579-5099. What happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas.
Garifuna American Heritage Foundation United GAFU and the Garifuna community of Los Angeles present Proclamation Ceremony of the National Garifuna Settlement Education and Awareness Month, celebrating 54 years of Garifuna settlement in USA. Saturday, November 15, 2014, starting at 1 p.m. Come and celebrate 54 years of Garifuna American progress with local, city, and national leaders, cultural presentations, community awards. Venue, Mars Caribbean Gardens Restaurant, 14008 Crenshaw Boulevard in Gardena. For more information, call 323-898-6841 or visit our website at www.GarifunaHeritageFoundation.org.
This is Jerry Castro, and thank you for tuning in to Radio Centroamerica and its host, DJ Labuga, Ronnie Figueroa, every Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
Welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga, every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are...
Anu te karulabo mapieti na yepe anu te karulabo mapieti na yepe ai na papa guaralu saralamuka tuega muto ai na papa guaralu saralamuka tuega muto ya kumama tukuya kutemenganu ikiakutuku chulo tukuya kutemenganu ai kugio la puliera ine ya ubakuma ndara na kira ai kugio la puliera ine ya ubakuma ndara na kira. Pero su ley no pase la cadena. Magiripu, Hanakina, Hanabakudo Nalumate, rompase la cadena. Magiripu, Hanakina, Hanabakudo Nalumate. Hemela paya mama, perece bumalalino. Hemela paya uda, perece bumalalino. Ugio la piera, tina ya ubaguma, dana kira. Ay, ugio la piera, tina ya ubaguma, dana kira. Ay, napakwa kuadalu, saralamuka. Wake up.
we have Ivan Duran on the line from Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk. And of course, we are very delighted to have a very talented musician, producer, and a lover of course, Garifuna music and world music as a whole. Mr. Ivan Duran, welcome back to Garifuna Music and Talk. All right. Okay, we got you back, Ivan. Yes, Ivan. Now let's move to Stone Tree Records. Your recording company has been able to release over 40 albums by now, right? So, what is the direction you want to take Stone Tree Records in the future?
Well, that's another loaded question because, as you have probably heard, the record business is not a business anymore. It's like the last few years has been very, very difficult for the entire industry, and it has affected everybody. People think it's only in the U.S. or in Europe, but it's actually everything that happens outside happens in Belize, in our own countries as well. And I often say that we started a label in the wrong decade, because just as when we started to be good at making records and getting all our distribution channels and so on, that's when the whole industry pretty much collapsed.
Right.
We were able to survive in the first early years just by just selling CDs in the local market, and now sales have been dropping down almost 60%.
Wow.
So the reason that we're still standing up is kind of a miracle, because any industry where you cut off such a big percentage of income and sales, it would just collapse.
Yes.
But and many record labels have collapsed, and they don't. The music production has definitely gone down from a record label standpoint, not from an artist standpoint, because more artists, due to technology and cheaper technology, they're able to access that and make more music. But from an industry standpoint, and there has been definitely less investment in records and so on. So I don't know what the future holds, Tony. If I knew, be a very happy guy, but the fact is that nobody knows what the future will bring for this industry, and it's a sad thing. And I'll put you an example. If today I had to make a record like Paranda or Umalali, these were records that took me maybe 3 or 4 years to make. Travel to communities all around 3 countries in Central America, spending hundreds and hundreds of hours in the studio, editing, fixing stuff, adding stuff, redoing stuff. And that record would have been impossible today. Like, I wouldn't be able to afford to do it, period. Wow. And nobody would give me the money to do it either, because it would be almost certainly impossible to even recoup the investment, and that's a real shame. And I think that's the biggest danger, at least for me in the music industry today, that records that need to be made will not be made, and for simple financial reasons that nobody will want to go to the bank and ask for a loan to make a record, because
that's right.
You won't be able to pay that loan, period. There's no, and I founded Stone Tree with a loan. Bank of Nova Scotia in Belize, gave my company a small loan, and that's how I started to make records. And obviously, that went well for a few years, and then everything kind of like collapsed. So yes. It's very hard to say, but one thing I can tell you, though, is that the music will not die. If anything, it will transform. Maybe we won't be seeing this type of records being made, but maybe the live music will increase. Maybe we'll see more musicians touring and doing other activities. In terms of the records, there's no way around it. To make a great record, there's no shortcuts. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds of hours in the studio.
Yes.
Sometimes like months and months on end. So that is less feasible these days. And looking to the future, I'm a little bit sad, that we can't do those type of projects again. And I point out like Humanally as being one very close to my heart. With the Garifuna Women's, my idea was to do a second album, and I just can't, I really can't. And the same thing with Parranda, there could be a lot of Parranda albums out there.
Yes,
and they should, but the numbers just don't work anymore in our favor.
Now, Ivan, so what about the downloads? Is there any profit margin being left for the recording company, for the musicians, when people actually buy downloads? How is that looking for Belizean artists, for Garifuna artists?
Unfortunately, Ronnie, it's very, very small, and that's one of the biggest problems that we have is that the culture has changed. Now there's this feeling that music is free, and everybody has it on their phones and MP3 players, and they share it, and they think, it's worthless. Why should I buy for that? Why should I pay for that? And that's the sad part, because I am sure if everybody who listens to the music would pay, $1 or $2 or $10 for a CD or whatever, I can assure you that the artists would be making money, the producers would be making money, more records could be made, but the sad part is that doesn't happen. When was the last time you bought a Garifuna CD?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
And to the listeners out there, you like the music, but if you don't support the artist by paying for it and finding a way how to pay for it, then there's no way they can keep producing music. It's as simple as that. There's no way around it. Like I said, we were selling CDs in Belize and some abroad, small distribution, and we would sell, let's say, 5,000 CDs, and that would be enough to cover the cost and invest in a new recording and everything. But now, even selling 5,000 CDs is a huge challenge.
Wow!
Because nobody is buying. Period. And the downloads don't compensate for that. And of course now there's talk about, and it's even worse. So there's very little income. What has sustained Stone Tree over the last few years has actually been the touring. We have put in a lot of work in organizing all these tours, which again, sometimes you lose a lot of money, but at least the artists are on the road and we're generating income and also creating an audience for the music. And so the touring has helped a little bit, but it's still not enough. And when you asked about Stone Tree, one of the things that we have been, I would say, forced to do is to look outside. I've started to produce records in other countries and other artists. I wish I could just work with my own musicians in Belize, but it's not feasible anymore. And as simple as that, I cannot make a living off of it. And me and the musicians and the engineer and keeping the studio running and all that. So I've branched out. I've done projects here in Canada. I've produced a few bands from Toronto, from Montreal. I've just finished a fantastic record with Calypso Rose from Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, yes.
another artist that I so much love. Like, I grew up listening to her music. I've done, I'm working on other projects in Africa, for example. So I'm trying to kind of like diversify Stone Tree to so we can stay afloat and see where this whole industry leads us in the future. Yes. But it's not looking good, I'm afraid to say.
So basically, what you were saying, and I knew this because, you know, I have produced albums at a very small scale with Garifuna performers here and there, and I know how it's been. It's really bad. So what you're saying is basically by doing live concerts, that is the only venue that you are going to be able to sell some CDs while you do the CD signing at the end of the concert. Basically, that's the only good sale that you're going to have by touring, by bringing product to the concert and being able to have the artist to sign the album, you know, and try to sell it at least for 10, 15, 20 bucks, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's the only way you can sell records these days, is by touring and taking your CDs on the road. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and that's just a new reality, you know. I'm sure like all Garifuna artists have been doing this for many years now. They figured it out many years ago, you know, that you leave a few CDs in a record shop and you go back a week later and they're still there, you know.
Yeah.
So
You're right.
It's just a reality, you know.
Yes.
But if people see you live and you get them excited, then you know, there's a pretty good chance that they will want to leave with a CD or with something from you. And but again, that is very bad for the culture, I have to say, because let's say Nabor, if he decided like he couldn't tour, that means that his career would be over, you know, because he wouldn't be able to make a living.
Right.
He couldn't, like in the old days, you know, you could make a record and sell it and make some income. But nowadays, I have to say that's impossible. If you want to make it in the music business, you'll have to get up and hit the road and tour, because that's the only way.
Yes. And one more question, and this is in relationship to producing music and trying to sell the CDs. What about monies that someone such as Stone Tree would receive from publishing or royalties from licensing out the music? Is there such a thing? Because I know we're not Hollywood, and Hollywood is not looking at music from Paul Navarro, Andy Palacio, and they're going to say, oh, I'm going to use that theme for my movie, and I'm going to give you $10,000. Is there any money to be made?
If that was to happen, that would be a great thing. And to be honest, one of my biggest disappointments has been that even though we have gotten like extremely good reviews all over the world, and the albums have been consistently very, very well received by the media, by the mainstream culture, it hasn't really connected, you know, like, we have never received a call from like a famous director or a Hollywood actor, you know, wanting to hang out with Nabi or do something with the Garifuna Collective, or, you know, that has happened with other musics from developing countries, but it hasn't happened to us yet. It doesn't mean it won't happen, but it just hasn't happened. And yes, you hear a lot of our music, for example, in the radio, and NPR, for example, a lot of public radio, a lot of university radios play our music. Unfortunately, they don't pay, or if they pay, it's very, very little compared to like commercial radio.
True.
And the thing with movies, like, yes, we license our music a little bit, but it's usually like independent films, even student films, documentaries, etc. But we have never gotten a placement, let's say, by a blockbuster movie that would have like a huge budget for music and would allow, you know, thousands of dollars to be paid for us. But I mean, I'm still hoping that it will happen, and and if it happens, it would be great for everybody involved.
Thank you.
We have to wait and see. You have to think also that the world is still not ready for Garifuna music, in the sense that it's still very foreign to them. You know, you have to start with the fact that you're singing in a language that only a handful of people in the world understand, and which to me that's the great thing about it. But for the mainstream, it's like, why should I listen to this? I don't understand what they're singing. And the second thing is that it's not music made for foreigners. It's music made for the Garifuna people. Like Punta Rock, one of the biggest complaints is that it's too fast. Nobody can do it unless you're Garifuna. Well, so be it. Why should Punta Rockers change the beat so some white kids in Europe can dance to it? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not. It shouldn't be the purpose for making music. But that's one of the reasons also why the music hasn't really generated interest outside a very small world music, very, I would say, cultured group of people who are interested in different cultures, that they have traveled the world, are very, college students in different interests. Yes. But it hasn't hit the mainstream, yes. So people confuse a lot. For example, and one of our records, let's say, gets like the #1 spot in the world music charts, for example, in Europe, and they think, why, that's a huge thing. Yes, it's huge, and for me it's huge, and for the artist too, but it's anything but income, because it has nothing to do with record sales. It has to do with airplay. And usually it's airplay in like I said, in public radios. And unfortunately that doesn't generate a lot of income, and it's just a fact. Well, again, I don't feel ashamed about it, and I don't think anybody should be ashamed about it. I think it's a great thing that this music is being recognized around the world as an important heritage. But it's important also to be realistic. A lot of people don't understand the industry, or they will have different ideas. I often say, we watch too much TV, we much bling bling, and you forget, about everything that is behind it.
Yes. Ivan, thank you for that, but you were very honest. I really like your honesty and the fact that you put things in perspective. And unfortunately, the music industry, like you said, has declined from the moment we started getting those machines that are able to play CDs and record CDs. And the whole streaming, has really killed the record industry. And we have seen that happen by the big companies like Capitol Records and all these companies which have disappeared. What kind of advice can you give other upcoming and seasoned Garifuna musicians who are seeking to infiltrate the world music scene, such as Andy Palacio and Aurelio Martinez did? The world music is a big thing, like the WOMEX awards and everything. How can upcoming Garifuna artists and musicians be able to infiltrate this industry?
Well, that you would need me for like a whole 2-3 hour workshop. It's not one thing. It's a combination of many different things.
Okay.
And perhaps if you study all the different records that we've put out and the artists and what we have done, that could give you pretty much an idea of what has worked for us, and a lot of it has to do with making the music, making the right changes to the music,
right,
and to the production, so that it can fit in, if you like.
Yes.
I hate to use a word, but so it can fit in the whole world music spectrum.
Right.
when you live, let's say, one of our radio songs, like the one you played, like you can play that song, and right after that, you can play a Miriam Makeba song, or you can play a Youssou N'Dour song, or you can even play a Bob Marley song, and it's a fine transition, you know.
I see.
A lot of it has to do that it's not straight club music. Like, for example, none of our records, or the ones that I've mentioned about, have like any drum machines, for example.
Right.
It's all live music. It's all live musicians, live guitars. So on the musicianship level, I think that's the one thing that our productions have tried to achieve, a level of musicianship that is on par with other musics from around the world. You have to understand that in its natural form, Garifuna music doesn't have more than one guitar and drums and vocals, right? It's very
true. Yes.
basic in that sense, right? There were no string instruments traditionally, other than the guitar, which was introduced by the Garifuna arrival in Honduras and the Spanish influence. But other than that, it was only drumming and chanting, and singing. So we had to kind of like fill in the gap, if you like, you know, and we were so lucky to work with an amazing team of musicians who have been working on all these records alike, you know. Guitarists like Guayo Cedeño from Honduras, an amazing lead guitarist, you know.
He is.
Different musicians like Chichiman, Rolando Marcelino Sosa, also from Honduras, a multi-instrumentalist. Plays the saxophone, plays drums, plays maracas, all kinds of different instruments, guitar. So that we were able to make all these different arrangements that were made in the studio. It's not like stuff that existed traditionally, right? So we made this up in the studio, and in a way that we thought would work. And so my advice would be to yes, please your fan base, but think beyond that. Always think somebody who has no relation to you, who doesn't even know that you're Garifuna, who doesn't even care that you're Garifuna. How would that person receive your music? Would it be just like, oh, what the hell is this? Or would it be, oh, this is interesting. Let me find out more. Let me dance to it, or this really touches me in a way that no other music has. So we need to get out of this bubble that we live in sometimes, you know.
Yes.
And I had to break out of that bubble in Belize myself, and I know that that's one of the reasons why we have had this success, because we were able to see things from a different perspective and not only trying to please our hardcore fans in Belize.
Right. Ivan, I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you have to really twist the music and take it out of what Garifuna has offered, but give it that twist. I think that you and Andy Palacio, in one of the comments that I read from the article, is that you and Andy, I think it was more Andy than you, that was able to break out of that pattern and risking I guess, criticism from the community and from the elders and from other musicians who are very stern in the way they record Garifuna music. I think you guys took a chance and put that twist. I don't want to call it a jazzy style of music because it's kind of jazzy, but it is what you tell us, what you just told us right now. It's a mixture of live instruments, avoiding the drum machine and making sure that there is a variety of sounds that conform to the world music listeners. So I think that step that you guys took, you and the late Andy Palacio, to break away from the traditional Garifuna music and add that mixture to make it more worldly, I think it really paid off. So congratulations.
Let me just give you an idea of what kind of person Andy was. I was 20 years old, or even 19, I think. Okay? and I meet Andy, who was already the biggest superstar in Belize. He was about 10 years older than me, or 8 or 9 years older than me. And he was already the biggest superstar in Belize. He was selling like tens of thousands of cassettes, what he would put out. Like he was selling like one cassette, he sold like 30,000 cassettes in Belize alone. So I meet him at the bar, right? And I tell him, Andy, boy, nice to meet you. You know what? I'm studying music in Cuba right now, and I have these great musicians, all my friends in school. They're amazing musicians, you know. Would you like to make a record with us? And the man said, when do we start?
That was great.
That was Andy. That was Andy, and that was the beginning of our friendship. And that was, just to give you an idea how open he was to the world. And in this case, from my lucky me, I was there to ask the right question. But he immediately started on the first record, which was Camo, which was the first record I ever produced, was Camo, by Andy Palacio, who was the biggest star in my country. And yet I had no track record. I had nothing to show other than I was a bit stubborn and I know what I wanted. But other than that, there was nothing. So it just gives you an idea that Andy took a very worldly approach to his music and to the way he thought he could connect with the rest of the world. And I wish more youths were like Andy, that they travel, and not only travel just to say that you've been in France or you've been travel to learn, you know. We always say, you know, why should the world be interested in Garifuna culture if we're not interested in other people's culture? And I'm not talking about American culture or television. I'm talking about world cultures, you know. Andy was a person who would go to anywhere in the world, and the first thing that he would learn about is about the history of the city and the different historical buildings, and he would know all kinds of different stuff. He would read the newspaper that morning so he could say something on stage from the mic, you know?
Oh, wow.
So if there was some controversy on politics or everything, he would mention it to the people he was playing to. He was then showing them, I am interested in you as well. So I ask you to be interested in me and my plight and my culture and my country and my region. But first I'm showing you that I'm interested in you and what you are experiencing. That's a very powerful thing.
Yes,
I mean,
it
goes to the core of a humanity that sometimes we forget and we get lost. You know, we just and that was the type of person Andy was. And like I say, these things don't happen by accident. You know, these things don't happen by accident. Andy made a mark because of those qualities as a person, as a human being, and he used that, you know, to advance his people and his culture and his music, and it's so great. And I see that in Aurelio as well today, you know, as a new torchbearer.
Yes.
Nabi was incredible.
Yes.
Nabi, everywhere he went, people just fell in love with him because that's what he projected. He projected that he was in love with everybody else. You know, he was loving the experience everywhere he went, you know?
That's right.
I used to complain about Nabi that we would go for a show and I would say, Nabi, where's your hat? I say, well, brado, I gave it to this lady. She really liked my hat. I gave it to her. Nabi, but you can't do that. You can't do that. You know?
Oh wow, that was great.
That is the type of person that, oh man, I can only say that it's privilege and blessed and all that are little words to describe how we feel. And me and the entire Garifuna collective and Aurelio, every time that we sit and we talk about these things and reflect about these things, we just, well, man, we get goosebumps. Really, it's just incredible. The teachings that Andy and Nabi are leaving behind, And we know, and it's not only me. You ask anybody from the Garifuna Collective and anybody like Andy, like Aurelio and the musicians that are traveling the world, they get asked all the time about Andy and so on. So they know, and so this story will never die for sure.
Yes. Ivan, I want you to take a minute to acknowledge all of our listening audience. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of people listening in the West Coast and in New York, of course. We have people listening in Belize, of course, many people. I don't want to mention the names, it's just way too many, but I want you to take a minute to acknowledge all of our listeners, wherever they are, because they are really paying attention and listening to your wise advice. You know, I think you have a lot of knowledge. You could be our teacher tonight, and you are being one of the professors who is giving us a lesson on Garifuna music, on production, on the music industry as a whole. So go ahead, man.
Well, I feel. Sorry, can you ask me what was the question again?
Okay, I want you to take a minute to acknowledge all of our listening audience, listening in the West Coast, Los Angeles, and all the Western region, and of course, the listeners of lmbroots.com in New York, y también la gente que nos escucha en vivo allá en Guiriga, en Radio Guiriga 99.9 FM en Santa Fe, Colón.
Well, I mean, I really appreciate them, of course, to take the time to listen, and I assume that if they're listening now, that means that they're big Garifuna music fans, and if they really want to make a difference, and this is so important from my side of things, which I'm working with artists all the time, is that now more than ever, artists need your support. I cannot stress this more. It's like without your direct support, the artist will not be able to make a living. And if you can't make a living off of music, then you cannot make music, because the day only has 24. You cannot, to do it right, it cannot be just a hobby. You need to be able to live off of it, and to develop and to become a great artist. You need to invest thousands of hours before you can produce a good result. So if we don't support them, if we don't support them by going to their shows, by buying their albums, by offering them help, help them in any way you can. If you take pictures, offer them to take a picture, if you be a part of their team, because this is a team effort, and artists most of the time are in their house and their home studios working on their own. They don't go out, they don't interact much, but they need your support more than ever. And I think that would be my thing mainly, is that artists more than ever need the direct support of the fans, and never take for granted that Garifuna music will exist forever, or that records will be coming out every month. No, this thing could end tomorrow if because everything costs. As you walk into the studio, there is a cost, and you cannot do a record by yourself, especially the good quality records. You need a whole bunch of people behind you, and obviously everybody lives off of what they do. So if the artist cannot afford to pay an engineer, cannot afford to pay a musician to play on his record, cannot afford to pay a graphic designer to make the CD, cannot afford to praise, cannot afford to then take some press photos, cannot afford to pay somebody to write a nice bio about them, and then that's just the beginning of the work. We're not even talking about spending marketing money, traveling, touring, all that costs money. I just ask everybody to please be aware that it's not easy to be a musician. It's not easy to decide to be an artist in this day and age, and it's important Don't be fooled by the bling bling and the photos and all the all the Facebook comments and everybody's a rock star here. No, don't be fooled. Everybody is really, really struggling these days, and including myself, including Stone Tree, when everybody would think, we're number one. It's not true. It's not true. It's very, very hard to be in this industry these days, and if we don't get your support, we won't be able to continue to put music out. It's as simple as that.
Yes, thank you for that, teacher. Arufudahati in Garifuna. Ivan, one of our listeners from Honduras in New York is asking, how come the Garifuna Collective has not been able to do a stop in Honduras? There are over 250,000 Garenagu living in Honduras, and such a big country with so much talented musicians. How come the collective hasn't been able to make a stopover? Tough.
Well, I want to ask the listener to invite us over there. I think the collective would love for us to play. Travel by boat, road, anything. Invite us over. I think it's very difficult because there's no like festivals or serious promoters that would plan way ahead of time and say, okay, I want to do a concert with you guys and this and that. But we've never heard. Aurelio has invited us many, many times, and he has tried very hard.
Yes.
But it's 8 persons traveling, so it's not like it's very easí, but it's totally doable. I know that the collective to go to Honduras and also to La Buga. They've never performed in La Buga either.
Okay. So, man, hey, promoters, producers out there, you better take note. And if you're interested in bringing the Garifuna Collective to Honduras or Guatemala, let us know. Let Ivan Duran know. He's present on Facebook, so you could always drop him a line. Ivan, next question here. Belize has produced such an amazing number of performers, artists that are coming up, such as Consigo, Taprik, Vida, Nuru, Super G, Sweet Pain Band, LimeWire Band, and so many that I forget to mention. What is your input on that? How do you see this talent coming up?
Well, it's very interesting, Tony. And again, I've been saying this for many, many years. Per capita, Belize has to be one of the most creative countries in the world. I mean, think about it. There's only 350,000 people living in the country,
yes,
out of which only 5% or more is Garifuna. So, a very small population producing a ton of talent. And it's just very interesting and inspiring. And I wish there were more opportunities for them. That's my only regret is that I know everybody is like really having a very, very hard time right now, and with music and I mean I'm also part of the Music Industry Association of Belize, which I founded in 2003, and we look at these things constantly, and every year it gets worse. Bands are getting paid now almost half of what they used to get paid in the 90s to perform live.
Yes.
So it's like we're going backwards even with live music, and it's a total shame. And when that starts to happen, then the music also suffers because the artist cannot afford to take a whole band, right? So they will only take a keyboard player with a drum machine and a Garifuna drummer, and then call that. So the music suffers, where it used to be like a band like Sounds in Cope, in the 90s, you had like 10 men on stage, turtle shell, maracas, drummer, 2 keyboards, guitar, bass, horns, back vocalist, It was like that. To me, that was the golden age of Punta Rock.
Yes.
Where get live, you could get the full expression of the music and the culture. And now it's very tough, but you cannot blame the artists. what the promoters can offer you nowadays is much less.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm really hoping for a change, and I've been hoping that one of those artists could break through. You know, like Super G has been working very hard for many years, and he definitely deserves something of a breakthrough. And let's hope it happens. I think Punta Rock has its own market, and even though I'm not involved in that scene anymore, I've done a few Punta Rock records in the 90s, but then I quickly, when I fell in love with Parranda, I just do strictly Parranda. But there's a lot of great Punta Rock producers in Belize and in the U.S. as well, and I'm sure that there's gonna something has to happen, because it's a genuine movement, it's a genuine music, and when something is genuine, you know, it's very hard to kill, and it's gonna. I think I'm hopeful that something will happen, but I think though that it will be a mix. It will be a mix of something from down there, from Belize or from Honduras or from La Buga, with something from one of the guys living in New York or LA, with a different sensibility, with a different sound, combining with that old vibe. I think that's if I had a guess, that would be my guess. And I'm starting to see that with some producers in New York, that they're trying to mix things up in an interesting way. And I think in a couple of years you could see something good happening. And if that happens, I think it will be a good thing, because we shouldn't be producing music in isolation. I don't think the Garifuna musicians and producers in living in the U.S. have everything it takes. I think they need their roots, and there's a reason why when you see an artist coming in from the South, how they have something that nobody else in town has, you know?
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah.
There's something there, you know, whether it's Moho Bob or it's Poots or it's even Super G or Lloyd or whoever. They have something, you know, they have something, and that's because they're closer to the roots, and they have, I don't know, they have a different ambition. There's something there when they walk on stage that is different from a U.S.-based Garifuna artist.
Yes, Ivan, I want to send a big shout out to one of the youngest members of the Garifuna Collective. He says that the late Paul Nabor was one of the oldest, and he is one of the youngest members of the Garifuna Collective, and he is trying to listen live as he is doing a couple of things. And you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes, Emilio. I'm sure he's listening in Dangriga.
Sasamu Thomas.
Right? Yeah. So Emilio, man, I'm so proud of Emilio, because he's the youngest guy, but sometimes you talk to him and he's actually like the oldest. But he's an old soul in a young body. But Emilio, take it easy. You have a long life ahead to be like Nabor. You have another 50 or 60 years. So no need to rush things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great to see artists like Emilio coming up and showing interest in more than just the technicalities of the music industry, and try to look at the bigger picture. And I think that's Emilio's biggest contribution, is that he's able to observe and to soak in what is happening around. And went on tour in Europe last summer with the Collective.
Yes.
And came back saying it was a life-changing experience, you know, and I'm sure it was. And I'm really happy it was, because sometimes you get some musicians who just want to go on tour just for the fun, you know, just they on tour, this and that and that, and they forget everything that is around them, and why they're there, and why what they learn there is important back home, you know.
Yes.
I often say that the Collective, it's more than just a band. The Collective is like an institution that people look up to, and all this accumulated experience over the years should be put to good use, you know.
Yes.
Not only saying, you know, how why German beer tastes good or you know, whatever.
Yes.
It should be about more deeper life experiences that and Emilio totally gets it, and I'm really happy. And like him, I have to say there's a few other in Belize coming up that I wouldn't be surprised in the next 10 years or so we'll be producing more Andy Palacios and more Paul Nabors in Belize for sure.
Yes. Man, Ivan, you have wise words, man, but I think that institution is the right word. The Garifuna Collective is an institution. And with that, has the Belize government been instrumental in helping the music industry grow? Or have they a lot more work to do to accomplish that?
No, unfortunately, no. The support has been very minimal, and I think we still have a very long way to go in terms of having the right type of communication and the right type of partners when it comes to growing the music industry and cultural music. You know, people in government tend to think that since it's a business, then it's a business. You know, if you go on tour, it's because you're supposed to be making money. If you don't make money, then you shouldn't go on tour. Or if you make an album, it's because you think you have a good chance of making it back. If you don't think so, then you shouldn't be making an album. And art is not like that, you know. Art is full of crazy people, passionate people who will take risks all the time. All the great artists throughout history have been great risk takers. That they cannot contain themselves. They have to make that song. They have to record that song. They have to do what they do, and it takes a politician to understand that. And obviously, it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy concept to understand if you're not an artist yourself. And obviously, we need more artists in government, and that would apply to any freaking government in the world. You know, we need more artists in government to understand the passion that we're dealing with, and in Belize we've had various degrees of success. I won't say that everything is bad, but I think it's very far from where it should be, and I think that the results could be much greater if there was more support. You know, I often say, you know, how many millions of dollars we invest in the citrus industry or in the tourism industry or you know, on all kinds of different projects where music has basically received zero investment, you know, in all of our countries. And in Belize, but I can also say in Honduras and in Guatemala.
Same thing.
Basically, very little investment. And when it comes to Garifuna, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So in countries like Guatemala and Honduras, where let's say there might be some funds available, then for sure those funds are not reaching to any Garifuna projects or musical projects in the Garifuna community, which is another tragedy because Garifuna music and culture plays a huge role in all the countries where they are established. It's just incredible how you take out the Garifuna populations of countries like Honduras and Belize, and it basically the country loses a great wealth and a great part of their identity as a nation.
Ivan, thank you for that, man. As we speak and as you answer some of the questions or you address the listening audience, I am reading the many comments that are coming through social media. I have a gentleman from New York. His name is Byron Cayo. He says, I have a question. I am a member of LMB Roots. That's the radio station in New York. And it's also a movement to embrace young performers so that they could get into the studio instead of gambanging and doing drugs. So they could come and let all that positive energy be released through recordings and through music. So that's LMB Roots. He says, my question is, how can Punta and Garifuna culture grow when the young kids are requesting more dancehall reggae and soca in Garifuna party rather than asking for more Punta music?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a difficult thing to answer. And one thing for sure is that you cannot impose music on anybody.
Wow.
If they don't want to listen to it, then it's not going to happen, you know. And the kids will always rebel, you know. Just like same way I didn't listen to the music that my parents listened to. The same thing is with them. So I think the trick is, how do we make the music appeal to them, you know? And again, from my experience, I can tell you about Watina, for example, which we took tremendous risks in the musical arrangements, but I think that those risks were very well received by the younger Garifunas,
yes,
which they thought, hey, this is Paranda, but this is cool, you know? It has some cool bass lines, it has some, you know, some guitar solos here and there, and the beat is not like just a straight traditional rhythm. It has, so it was something that made it feel more modern and more in tune to what they were listening to. And I would say that we have to find a way how to engage the younger generation with the type of music that we give them. Garifuna music and the rhythms are so deep that we shouldn't be afraid of losing it if we move away a little bit and mix it with other things. I think traditional music will always exist. It's very well documented by now, so there shouldn't be any fear of losing it, okay, in terms of the rhythms and so on. So why not change the rhythms slightly and mix it up with other things? I don't know, I'm just throwing as an idea, right?
No,
but one
great.
thing I am convinced, we cannot impose the music. You have to listen to my music, you know, or you have to, you know, play my songs in a club. No,
Yeah.
the kids will play whatever they want.
No, totally agree with you, Ivan. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's perfectly understood, and I think you put that into context, because we're not going to force anything on the kids. The kids are going to go right along with what they like. And one of the things that I have seen, the movement that is going on in New York, is that through this radio station called LMB Roots, which is broadcasting our show on the East Coast, is that what they are doing is they are bringing the tracks in the studio, like reggae tracks, dancehall, African music tracks, and what they're doing is that they're laying the lyrics in Garifuna. So when the final production comes out, you're listening to reggae or reggaeton, but it's with Garifuna lyrics. And it's such a beautiful music, you know. The way they do it is so new and so enticing, and I think it's bringing a lot of the youngsters back to relearning the language and readopting the language, because a lot of them might not speak the language when they came from Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, or maybe they heard or understood the language but never spoke it. But once they arrived to New York, which is a big Garifuna conglomerate people, they are forced to speak the language. So in a way, they are bringing back the language, you know. So that's one thing. That's something I just wanted to throw in. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. We have Ivan Duran from Stone Tree Records. It's a nice recording studio in Benque Viejo, in Cayo District in Belize. And of course, Ivan Duran has been kind enough to give us 1 hour and 30 minutes of teaching. He's been basically giving us a lot of information, a lot of valuable information about the whole musical aspect, from recording to producing to the whole industry going down as far as sales of CDs and the lack of downloads, that which is supposedly the future. But the ones that are really benefiting from downloads are American artists, the ones that have airplay on the big commercial radio stations, and not only on radio stations, on the big networks like the ABCs, the NBCs, Univision, and all of that pretty much embrace the artists that they endorse, because that's what they play. They don't bring Aurelio Martinez to Don Francisco or any other show because he's not with their label. So it is politics and it's politics right here. So thank you, Ivan Duran, for spending 1 hour and 30 minutes with us. We love you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You're such a talented man. And anything else you want to add to this interview tonight?
Yes, well, I wish I could talk a little bit, just a couple minutes about Aurelio's new record,
yes,
which
man,
is out now in the U.S. It's called Landini, and it was just voted number 1 on the world music charts for the month of November in Europe. It was featured on NPR last week, a very nice review. It's a fantastic record. I think it's Aurelio's best album, and I'm encouraging everybody to look it up. Either on Amazon or on iTunes, download it, get the real CDs, a nice really booklet with all the lyrics and all that. And also, Aurelio will be touring, so he's going to be playing in New York at Symphony Space. Very, very nice show with his band, Garifuna Soul Band. So I want to ask everybody in New York listening to please go and see Aurelio there. Let me find you right now. When is the
dates?
When is the date? But you can look it up on Facebook as well. So, and then he's going to the West Coast, be playing in San Diego, and we're trying to do a show in LA, and then in Seattle and Portland as well. So I want to encourage everybody listening, if you're in the States, to be looking out for Aurelio. He's going to be on tour. The Garifuna Collective is going to be on tour next summer as well, in the month of June and July in the U.S. So look out for that. And Aurelio will have 2 shows in New York, actually. It's one in November 18th, and the one on the Symphony Space will be November 22nd. So coming up in a couple weeks, please go out and see and support Aurelio. It's a fantastic new album. And he just came back from a very successful tour in Europe, and I think he's doing some amazing work for the culture, for the music, and I hope everybody supports him.
I think Aurelio's album is called Landini, right? Landini means punta in Garifuna, right? Which is the old Garifuna.
No, Landini means landing, which is a tribute to his mom and to his village of Tlaplay in Honduras. So it's a place where the boats land in the riverbank, and it's a beautiful parranda album that Aurelio recorded, thinking about his home village, the village that saw him grow and made him the man he is today. And it has a few songs that were composed by his mom, a few traditional songs that he rearranged as well. Full album, a very personal album, and to me it's one of my favorite parranda albums ever.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, we'll be looking out for that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get the downloads, go to iTunes, Amazon, CD Baby, or any of those companies that do downloads. And make sure you ask for Aurelio Martinez's brand new album called Landini, Landani. And it's on iTunes. It's only 99 cents per song to download and $9.99 for the entire 12-song album. Ivan, we have a gentleman from New York, Jonathan Silva, from LMB Roots Labuga. He says, good information. Ivan, can you please, I want to say thanks to you. Thanks for sharing this valuable information with all of us. We appreciate your time, he said.
Well, thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right, Ivan, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We just had Mr. Ivan Duran straight from Quebec in Canada. Right here on Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. Ivan, have a wonderful evening. We love you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see you in Los Angeles and in San Diego in December, okay?
All right. Thank you, Ronnie. Take care.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue to play the brand new album from Aurelio Martinez called Landani. And this is, of course, the next song on the album called Nari Golu. Kemotia, Wabinaha, Wafeduha, Luma DJ Labuga.
No barriguinha, procura buga. nugunya no barrio guinheto pura boca. Biama nari golo, nari palestino, na manam gane ibuye. Ai biama nari golo, nari palestino, na manam gane ibuye. Kapa nugunya no barrio guinheto pura boca. Kapa nugunya no barrio guinheto pura boca. Ai biama nari golo, nari palestino, na manam gane ibuye. Ai biama nari golo, nari palestino, na manam gane ibuye. Ai ganhei bom, ele no mude. Ai ganhei bom, ele no mude. Ai rouba sem sumo. E ganhei na mugoni do nego. Chakita no me. Ai baila dina, baina mukai nile. Akan madaguno. Hagabuno buchuro ayumura nadibo. Nirubeyo nau no buchuro, nirubeyo nau matabuno. Uwati anu guti sietu egininu, tito nigabana. Hagabuno buchuro ayumura nadibo. Ayo mama unitina yepe araya titang hospitale uwati anu ti seto egininu tito nigapana nigapunu buturo afakwatu numago nirubeyo nau no buturo nirubeyo nau matabuno Wati anu guti kopu dunanu Tidong nigapana Hagabuno buturo ayumura nanibo Tapay na chulu palagripa ma Wati megay chinuan Tapay na chulu nyay Wati megay chinuan oure familia hapuna name yara bella bo la kibana geira kibana mela guaru mambara ana oure lumada kuno ana oure familia hapuna name yara bella bo la kibana geira kibana mela guaru manu kunirute Apa na chulu black riba ma wati mege tinua oh 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 apa na chulu nye wati mege tinua oh 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 Kira mutu arabu manigana uyalandire aja kira mutu arabu ari kapana ya namuna luara laru tuna kuna baka ari kapana ya namula luara laru tuna gura baka manigana uyalandire anyakira mutu arabu asamege meya disi wachare kapa mesa waluba hamega iluanya kasa mege ya disi wachare kapa mesa waluba hamega iluanya
Garifuna American Heritage Foundation United GAFU and the Garifuna community of Los Angeles present Proclamation Ceremony of the National Garifuna Settlement Education and Awareness Month, celebrating 54 years of Garifuna settlement in USA. Saturday, November 15, 2014, starting at 1 p.m. Come and celebrate 54 years of Garifuna American progress with local, city, and national leaders, cultural presentations, community awards. Venue, Mars Caribbean Gardens Restaurant, 14008 Crenshaw Boulevard in Gardena. For more information, call 323-898-6841 or visit our website at www.GarifunaHeritageFoundation.org.
Visiting Las Vegas or live in Las Vegas? Black Coral Cafe Blazing Caribbean and American Cuisine Restaurant is just a place you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're open Tuesdays to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sundays from 12 noon to 5 p.m. Closed on Mondays. At Black Coral Cafe Restaurant in Las Vegas, you can enjoy all your Blazing, Caribbean, and American cuisine. We're located at 380 West Sahara Avenue. We also do catering for parties, weddings, and more. Call us at 702-579-5099. That's 702-579-5099. What happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas.
This is Jerry Castro, and thank you for tuning in to Radio Centroamerica and its hosts, DJ La Buga, Ronnie Figueroa, every Wednesdays.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to make an announcement. Next week, we have Nino Arzu. Nino Arzu will be live on our radio show next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. New York time. And don't forget to listen to it on www.radiocentroamerica.com and www.lmbroots.com radio in New York. Also in 99.9 Radio Guiriga, Santa Fe, Colón, Honduras. Tendremos en vivo nada más y nada menos que a Nino Arzu en vivo.
Aurelio Gubañelite, Tapu Liquidana, visita wiruni ni ago samina no ago no manda gono grala lugra no ago no manda gono jutei latina wadei latina lipe narita gono te lambará a Gambanaro no te lambará a Gambanaro Aurelio Gupañelite tapo liquidara visita le ina wele Aurelio di Chumutina no futuro bae libiri gusto no chupai nigiru pai hechuru ai data bae libiri gusto no chupai nigiru pai hechuru gadinu data bae libiri gusto no chupai nigiru pai hechuru gadinu ai data bae libiri gusto no chupai nigiru pai hechuru gadinu Ai lesto magule para buite para builigi afuna ai lesto magule buakubae para builigi afuna ai luri bambe lu bali bela nugu ai luri bambe lu bali bela nugu luri basa nyusani lirale buakubae lipike kusanile la boemwe atula luri basa nyusani lirale buakubae lipike kusanile la boemwe atula ai luri bambe lu bali bela nugu luri basa nyusani lirale buakubae libike kusanile la buemwe atula luri basa nyusani lirale buakubae libike kusanile la buemwe atula ai bukanyaga dunia ai bukanyaga dunia ai bukanyaga dunia mai ko bate bungu mai bukanyaga dunia ni choka ai bukanyaga dunia ai bukanyaga dunia mai ko bate bungu ai bukanyaga dunia ai bukanyaga dunia ai bukanyaga dunia mai ko bate bungu ai bukanyaga dunia ni choka ai bukanyaga dunia ai bukanyaga dunia mai ko bate bungu ai mabe hisia tienu biamani tuno hisia tienu aha waku haranye pe uribanie igira humanya takta humanya igira humanya ni tunungwa igira humanya takta humanya igira humanya ni tunungwa biamani tunugana nalagate banyago biamani tunu nalagate banyago ambo kura hawa kuhala nyembe uribanie igira humanya takta humanya igira humanya ni tunungwa takta humanya igira humanya ni tunungwa. Ani tuwe, ani amuinya amuria kaperutu puma. Ani tuwe, ani amuinya amuria kaperutu puma. Mama luweginye waria dibula, mama luweginye waria dibula. Wena muhatiwa, ni tura. Wena muhatiwa, ni tura. Uwa mana baba nagiyo hadanu madago. Uwa mana baba nagiyo hadanu madago. Wabanu ayano wamamuga. Wayo. Ni busigay now, ni busigay pati nabaw. Aramu tapaname, aramu tanapume, aramu tapaname, loye ubaharo. Aramu tanapume, loye ubaharo. Aramu tapaname, loye ubaharo. Aramu tapaname, loye ubaharo. Uwa manababa giye hadanu madago.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is my show for tonight. Thank you and good night. We love you.
Hey, bueno, este es Little Joe, a.k.a. La Punta Show, con DJ La Fuga esta noche.